How optimistic or otherwise should Manchester United be at the start of this season?
You've always got to be optimistic. I think Erik ten Hag's done his business early as of Manchester United. I think they've done enough to maintain the position of last year. I think that if they were to win a trophy and finish in the top three, that would be seen as success. Have they done enough to break and disrupt that stronghold that City obviously have at the top and Arsenal have established last season? I'm not sure. But there is optimism because the fans really like the manager and they like this group of players more than they have done in previous seasons.
And there has been spending, significant spending. And you'd say, Gary, I think the backing of the new manager, Erik ten Hag, who was very clear of the kind of player he wanted, where he wanted to recruit from, and a total spend with him at the helm of £406 million. 6 of those, I think you'd say, were major lumpy signings in terms of the price, but also throw in Christian Eriksen as well for free. At what point then do we say, well, that's got to take you towards a title challenge?
There'll be those who'll say now. But realistically, I think looking at where Arsenal are and what they've recruited this summer, spent similar amounts of money, and looking how established Manchester City are, I think it will be unrealistic and I think it will be harsh to say that Manchester United should be competing for the title. For Manchester United to compete for the title, I think Antony's going to have to explode this season, Rashford's going to have to hit his same numbers, and Højlund, Mount and Onana are going to have to settle in like straight away and hit the ground running, and that's difficult. I think, you know, Højlund's a young player, Onana's taking, I think, the most pressurised job, I think, in English football as Manchester United's goalkeeper. So I still think third and a trophy would be success, but I understand where the pressure might come from because of that spend.
Absolutely, and they're right up there with the biggest spenders in the Premier League. We know what Chelsea are doing, and we've added on the Caicedo money as well, £115 million. That's just been confirmed in the last few minutes from Brighton. And they're right up there with everybody else. So, Jamie, is it not realistic to be talking about them as contenders?
Well, why not? I mean, as he famously says, it's Manchester United. But when you're talking about the trophy and finishing third, I mean, that was a similar sort of season to they had last season. So in some ways, you'd almost want to kick on and get a little bit closer. And there was a spell, I think, around maybe February, March, where you'd actually thought Manchester United could find themselves in the title race. And then you've got to go back to the start of the season. I think how bad a start that they had. You can't envisage them having another one like that where they lose the opening 2 games. So they were already behind people to start the season. But as I said, at some stage, you were talking that they could finish second, maybe above Arsenal. I think a good season, not to expect them to win the title, but to make more of a fight and maybe become the biggest challenges to Manchester City rather than Arsenal.
Get a bit closer. What's stopping them then, Karen? If we have a little breakdown of what they did last season, which areas do you feel they might be falling short?
Goals. At the top 6, Dave, they were 6th. That's not really good enough. You know, we saw how much they've spent there. Goals for me is a big, big problem. Away form. You know, they had a really, really good home form. It was pretty strong. But I think away point, you see they're 5th. You know, if you're going to be challenging for a title, you've got to be doing better on away points. But I think for me, it's even set pieces, not good enough, 20th. You know, maybe that might be a reason why someone like Mount comes in, because he's got good delivery. But I think in those areas, average away points, not good enough, set pieces and goals.
And that one at the bottom is really striking, Gary.
Yeah, I think
1 point away from home against sides in the top 9.
Yeah, there are 2 things there that stand out, and I think it's a measure of a team, actually. If you pour away from home against the big clubs and you're not great on set pieces, I think you start to question the mentality of the players and whether they're actually good enough to be able to compete for a championship. That's why I say there's still a huge step for Manchester United to make. It's not just a case of third to first looks like it's not that. It's a massive step.
Would you question the mentality of these players? Because you've said for last season you've gone through some of the players. Martinez has come in, Varane, Casemiro. They were supposed to change that mentality.
No, what I think happened last year was that they got involved in so many competitions very close to the end in March and April, and I felt as though they started to wilt a little bit at the end. Rashford came back. Rashford got a little injury. Martinez got injured, Varane missed a few games, and they started, to be fair, to just fall apart a little bit, and it started to come away. If they could concentrate on the league and maybe another competition, not play as many games. Manchester United had more home games last year, I think, than they've ever had in the last 30 years. It was unbelievable how many games they had. But away from home and at set pieces, they need to improve that. I don't know how they're going to improve the set pieces, actually, because they're quite a small team. They haven't got a lot of team of giants like Manchester City currently are. So they've got to get the delivery right, they've got to be better at set pieces, but they've got to fix that problem against the top teams away from home. They can't melt when they go to big grounds.
So how would you grade his first year in charge?
Excellent. From where they were with Ralph Rangnick before, and the start of the season when they lost those games against Brighton and Brentford, I was really happy with how he did last season. Because what I think he did, he established control. He established control with Cristiano Ronaldo. He established control with the captaincy and Harry Maguire. The way in which he dealt with empathy with Jadon Sancho. I thought really difficult situations, particularly after that Brentford game when, to be fair, there was a crisis at that point. I think he did really well, Erik ten Hag, and I think the players in the change room know who the manager is.
Do you think that's fair?
I think he had a really good season. Like you said, top 4 and a trophy. That's what you're judged on. And from where he came in, I don't think he could have done much more. Second season now, this is the big questions. I'm not sure the signings have done enough to keep them pushing to even get better than that.